Hey, what is going on, guys? I am Paul Ryan, your host of the Across the Cowboys podcast. If you're new to the show, thank you for joining us. And to our regular listeners, welcome back. With me, as always, is my co-host, the greatest co-host in the world, Mike the Pig Crumb. Mike, how are you?
It's always anticipatory because I'm like, oh God. Whatever, when we talk about stuff in pre-roll, I'm like, I don't know what he's going to come up with. I'm like, please just say greatest this time. Please. The banana puddingist.
Oh, God, dude. That story, man, that's legendary, sir.
Oh, it is going to be one. I've heard a lot about that clip this week.
Did your dad ever listen and get back to you on that?
Oh yeah. He listened and he was like, I get it. He was like, I get it. I've seen her. I understand. I was like, you're a good man, Father. You're a good man.
Hey, bro, that's respect, dude. He knows what's up, right?
Oh God. I just wish I would have just been like, hey, I have one, but it's for this person. So you understand. And he would have been like, yeah, but just to look at him and go, nope, I ain't got it.
Oh, greatness. Right. He's probably done something similar to one of his homies too back in the day.
Oh,
right?
I'm sure. It makes me laugh. God.
Mike, let the people know they can find you on Twitter, sir.
At CD Piglet, guys. Nice and easy.
Guys, I'm Paul Ryan. You can find me on Twitter at Paul_Ryan15. Mike, we've got a lot to discuss tonight. Of course, I'm referring to the NFL draft. But before we discuss anything, we must discuss one thing first. Of course, I'm referring to Meatless Monday.
Meatless Tuesday.
Meatless Tuesday this week, actually. Mike, talk to us. I know you messed up today. Let the people know what's going on.
I have the stuff prepped to have Meatless Monday. I have the meals I'm going to have and everything. But I've been really like between the other job where I'm helping my buddy cook and the writing, I just have flown through the last from Thursday to today. And I got today off. No cooking, no writing, no anything minus our pod. But this isn't really like work. This is just us hanging out,
Right.
And so I was just relaxing and I totally forgot about it. And like just I cooked a steak for lunch and it was just a epic fail. And after I ate, I was like, oh my God. I was making enough for two. And I just slipped my mind that I wasn't supposed to have meat that day. And so I was like, well, we'll just push it back and have a Meatless Tuesday. I've been doing bad on that. I remember last year, I didn't have one Monday that I missed. And I've already missed like 7. And we're in month 5. That's not good.
Yeah, but man, like we've said this so many times in the pod, our lives are so much different this year than they were last year.
I know. Yeah, it's crazy. Boy, howdy. That's the crazy thing is mine's like blows my mind how crazy it is. And mine's not even close to yours because you got a little you running around. So it's unbelievable.
It's a surprise every day, man. It really is. I wake up and I see him and I'm like, I can't believe I actually have a son.
I know. And it's like a little you. I just started getting like to see my friend Muhammad that I work for at Daphne's and Stephanie, their daughter, like consistently, like every week and stuff. And it just amazes me. Like she's amazing. Like she's amazing. I don't really like kids. Jazzy's amazing. And it's like, I'm like, y'all two made her? You two? How the hell? Like, who watches the kid or takes care of it? Because this ain't y'all's kid. I know you two. This can't come from you two, but it did. I give them props.
Well, Mike, I know that during the football season, Sunday is usually a big day for good food, whether it be pizza or grilling or anything like that. So I'm curious, when it came to the NFL draft, did you do anything special food-wise?
Bro, I couldn't. I was really bringing a lot of food home from work because I just needed something to eat because I knew it was going to be work, draft, write, sleep, work, draft, write, sleep. Like the time to eat was like with the laptop in front of me doing the research, take some bites of food, which is hard with the insulin and everything. But there was nothing special. That it was a lot of. I know we ordered pizza one week. I had to have Daphne's 3 times in the last couple of days.
Oh,
just
wow.
because it's bring it home, like make it right there while I'm at work. When I leave, come home, eat, get back on the articles and stuff. So Yeah, that NFC East one that came out today, check that one out, guys, if you haven't seen it already. It basically breaks down the whole NFC East draft. It's a lot of work. You got to go through the main picks and decide if one's worth, bringing up or not. And it's all 4 teams. And, there was that. And then I had to do like what other people could Dallas have drafted. That was another one. There's so many. I literally can't remember. There's 2 other ones. Oh, the first round picks on our schedule. So the teams we played this year, their first picks. I don't think that's out yet, but I honestly don't know. I don't think so, though. I think Katie is still editing that. And then I had one other one that I don't even remember what it was, to be honest.
Yeah, that first round picks, the ones we faced for the schedule, that sounds like I like the idea of that. That sounds cool.
Yeah, you kind of, we have, and I did them in order of draft order. And you'd be amazed that we face the first 3 picks.
Yeah.
4 of the first 5 and 6 of the first 7.
Oh, Lord.
We play all those teams.
Yeah. That's crazy, man.
I know, which could be good, schedule-wise. You go, oh, these teams that were bad, we get to play them next year. But, you got to be able to beat them, too.
Yeah, well, Mike, before we get started on our first segment, I want to say what's up to Tyler here and to what's up, JJ. You can find Tyler on YouTube at More Outdoors. That's MOHRE Outdoors. And then JJ, he's also watching on YouTube, and he's just JJ there on YouTube. Hey, boys, I appreciate you guys joining us tonight.
Yeah, Tyler's got a good YouTube page, guys. I'm actually on one of his podcasts on there, and he's got a lot of good ones. So check him out.
Yes, sir. Well, Mike, let's get into some football talk before we break down the Cowboys draft. We wanted to talk about the draft as a whole, and looking at the AFC, which AFC team, not named the Ravens, do you feel had the best draft?
I'll be honest with you. I think Jets had a better draft than the Ravens. Myself, I think Jets had the best draft overall. They got my second corner, who is a lot of people's first.
Sauce.
Yeah, I happen to like Stingley like this much more. It's like tad. But either way, 1 or 2. They got my top wide receiver. Now the first 5 is like grouped together so closely, but he would be, if you put a gun to my head, he'd be my top prospect. They got my personal number 1 edge. Now I know other people had him like 5th, or I just think Jermaine Johnson's a monster. We're gonna get to him because Dallas, but I think he's gonna be a monster in the league. He was my top edge. They got my top running back in the draft in Paul. They got a great blocking tight end who Dallas really wanted in Jeremy Rucker. And they got Max Mitchell, who looks like a possible starting offensive tackle. He played really well in college, didn't get penalized a lot, barely gave up pressures and sacks. And then they got Michael Clemens, who was a Dan Quinn guy. Dan Quinn, that was one of the ones that if they couldn't get Sam Williams, Michael Clemens was the guy they would have took on his traits. So I love the Jets draft. I think they killed it. And I would even put them ahead of Ravens. Ravens would be my 2.
Yeah, but man, you look at the Ravens, it seems like their first 5 picks are all potential stud players. But then again, you look at the Jets, they got 3 of the top 11 players, Mike. The Jets are my team here. Ravens barely edged them out. I think there's a discussion to be had that the Jets might have actually have more star power than the Ravens do. But I felt like overall that the Ravens weren't, when you consider where they were picking, the picks that they had, the moves that they made, I just feel like they slightly edged out the Jets.
Man, it's funny because they just sit and wait. They trade back, and then a guy falls to them, and everyone else is like, I don't know, he has short arms, or he has this issue, or does he have what position does he play? He's like, we'll just take Kyle Hamilton. Oh, he ran a 4.6. That's all right. We watched his tape. He's amazing. We'll just, okay, you guys don't want him, we'll take him. Tyler Linderbaum, as a person who did not want him on Dallas because I don't like his length problem, it's just not something I want matching up against the NFC East defensive tackles. And on the Ravens, oh yeah, that guy's gonna kill. He works in that division. He's a hard worker. He'll bust his butt. He'll work with Lamar Jackson the way they want to play. Just a great pick. And you just go down the line. They just make superstar picks. That's what they do.
And they went and snagged Travis Jones too, sir.
Oh God, I'm not even gonna get. We're gonna get into Dallas's, but Travis Jones is gonna come up too. We're gonna get into this right now.
All right, Mike, looking at the NFC, kind of same question here. Which NFC team, not named the Eagles, do you feel had the best draft?
I mean, it has to be the Giants because the Washington may have had a worse draft than us. Like they didn't. Washington's draft wasn't that good, in my
Outside
opinion.
of the first two picks, or obviously.
No, I don't like Dotson that early. That felt like a Rager pick to me. Way early for him. I didn't have him at a second rounder. I would have got a couple other people over him.
That was high.
Yeah, that was high. And then a DT to replace Matt Ioannidis, like as your second round, like your strength is DT.
Yeah.
Go get something else. Not that. You need offensive line or take a shot at a quarterback. Malik Willis was there. I didn't dig. Washington was last for me, and I didn't have ours as a great draft, but I thought Washington crapped the bed. I didn't like their draft at all. So by default, it's the Giants. Maybe the best player in the draft in Thibodeau. Maybe the best offensive lineman in the draft in Neal. They got Wan'Dale Robinson to replace Kadarius Toney because there was a falling out there. What a fail that was. Man, they traded away from Justin Fields, took Kadarius Toney, and then, man, last year's draft was just trash. And then I like Bellinger, a tight end that could be a starting tight end in the future. I like Dane Belton. I would say he would be a linebacker, but they drafted so many linebackers that they may keep him at safety just because they drafted 2-3 other linebackers, Micah McFadden and Darian Beavers, who I wanted Dallas to take a look at as a middle linebacker prospect before they got Damone Clark. And, they got to wait a year, but that guy's a monster tackler. He tackles everything. So, yeah, I like the Giants draft a lot.
Looking at the AFC again, Michael, which AFC team do you felt had the worst draft?
I know what everybody's gonna say. I actually like some of the picks that New England made later, but they had such bad value on their first two picks. Like the value on their first two picks are like, what are you doing? Like this is third round picks right here, and they got them in the first and second. Might have been third and fourth round picks. Like bad, but I like Jones, the two Jones corners they got, Marcus and Jack. I like both of them, and I like Pierre Strong, the running back. The team that kind of missed for me was the Broncos. Like, they needed their first pick in the second round was a edge rusher that can't play the run. Like, I like Benito, but you were all right there. You didn't that seemed like a reach, especially with the needs they had. And then they got a tight end, I guess a Noah Fant replacement, but I would have waited way longer and took a Kohler or a Cole Turner or something later on over Doltich. So I didn't like Denver. Denver had the worst for me.
Yeah, that's funny you say that because Denver and New England were the teams that I was competing with, but overall, I felt like when you have a first round pick and you make the first two picks for New England were kind of seal the deal. You can't take those types of players with your first two picks.
Bad. I really like Cole Strange, but my goodness, I mean, talk about somebody you could have got in the second round. Jeez Louise, that's nuts, dude.
I was very surprised by the Tyquan Thornton pick, dude.
Yeah, that's like a day 3 guy. I get he ran a fast 40, but this is Bill Belichick. He doesn't seem the type to fall for that. Like, ooh, he's really fast. Like, can he play football or like I don't know. Just New England and Denver had were head scratchers for me. I like New England. I like a couple of the corners New England got, and I like the running back they got. Yeah. I didn't really like anybody Denver drafted. I like Benito, but why? Like, why with the other people on the board? I don't know. I didn't like their draft at all.
What about the NFC? Which NFC team do you think had the worst draft? Was it Washington?
No, I'm going to go a little different here. Not that they had a bad draft, but I'm going to take this one on direction. I'm going Bears. Now, I love Kyler Gordon and Brisker. I like the two guys they picked. You traded up last year, gave up a first to get Justin Fields. What'd you do for him?
Who's Velus Jones?
like a returner. I mean, he's okay, but man,
you don't do that, man.
No, you lost Allen Robinson. Like, do something for this guy. Like, you really are setting him up to fail. And I know they're a defensive team, they're a running team. Like, that's what Bears do. They're going to go to Montgomery. They're going to try to hit a big play to Darnell Mooney.
Yeah.
I understand that, but man, you moved up and used the 10th overall pick on Fields. And then my dad's gonna be so mad too, because I told him he got good players. Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker are two good, very, very good players. They're gonna help this team. But I got to give him the worst draft, because what are you doing for the quarterback is what matters. That's what matters, especially when you're drafting 10th overall and moving up 11th overall, moving up for him. Like, I didn't like that draft at all. Sorry, Pop. I didn't like your team's draft.
Yeah, I was surprised because they didn't even take an offensive lineman, which was really strange. But then, of course, they didn't take a receiver either. So, you're hoping, expecting that they're going to do something to help Justin Fields, and they didn't do that. So it was very strange. For me, Mike, I'm going with the Los Angeles Rams. I know they didn't have a pick until the third round, but when you look at the players that they drafted, I mean, I didn't really get to do a lot of mock drafts or do a lot of studying of the prospects in this class like I have in years past. But you look at these guys, and I was just sitting here going, who the heck are these guys?
Yeah, no, they have so much. The Rams have so many. The Rams are playing for the next year, maybe two, before they got to really blow it up.
Right.
And so they don't have any. They don't have a lot of weaknesses. There's only so many spots they could fill in. So yeah, I mean that their draft was bad. Don't get me wrong. It was a lot worse, and Washington's was worse than the Bears. I just wanted to bring up the Bears on philosophy of like thought process of it. But yeah, Rams and Washington had by far worse drafts.
Mike, now that a few days have passed, how are you feeling about the Cowboys draft?
Developmental. It's a developmental draft for me. I think ideally, what if you're on the most like hopeful side, you're like what like is the best case scenario? The best case scenario is your division's pretty weak. You're the only one with like a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback, and you can get through the division with your quarterback beating up on the rest of the division, winning some games, and you make the playoffs. And by the time the playoffs come, the Tyler Smiths of the world, the Williams of the world, the Tolberts of the world, the Ridgeways of the world have built up a little bit, have developed a little bit. Maybe Cox is fully healthy and moving around. I wouldn't do it, but maybe even Damone Clark is back for the last 2 weeks off of his, spinal fusion, and he plays in the playoffs. And you kind of hit a stride, and maybe you make a run. But honestly, I believe Dallas has played this as kind of a throwaway year. I remember when at Mike McCarthy's press conference when he was like, well, I didn't really watch all the games. I was trying to get hired. And that's what I feel this year is. It's not like Dallas is like, well, we're giving you no chance to win, but it's like, it's going to take a lot for you to win. And then when you don't, you're probably going to get fired, and either Dan Quinn or Sean Payton are going to come in. And if you look, the reason I think it's leaning Dan Quinn now, if you look at their signings, Hooker 2 years, Kearse 2 years. They went out and got guys that could get through this year and still be on the team next year. Mm-hmm. If Dan Quinn moved over to the head coaching. Dorrance Armstrong, 2-year deal. So I feel like this is a developmental draft, that it's more for hopefully a run in the playoffs this year, but more than likely a 2023 new coaching staff. All right, here we go. We got a lot of young talent. We got a quarterback. We've rebuilt the offensive line. We got some big boys on the defensive line. Let's go, and we're going to have an unbelievable linebacker core if they're healthy. And Kearse is a linebacker. He's not a safety, guys. He's a linebacker. They literally said it in a press conference. He plays linebacker. They're going to have him, Parsons as a utility linebacker edge rusher, Cox, and possibly Damone Clark, who just tackles everything. Like, he's 120 tackle. He's a tackling machine. So their linebacker core is just going to be disgusting. And now they got some big boys up front, to take up to block it up so that our fast moving linebackers can go and make plays in space. And that defense is going to be exciting next year. If the offensive line works out, look out for this team in 2023.
Absolutely. Yeah, Mike, now that time has passed, I'm feeling pretty hopeful. I like that we drafted guys with upside, and I also like that we drafted guys with a different attitude, a more I want to rip your face off, I want to, show no mercy type of attitude.
Break your neck. Literally.
Break your neck. Yes.
Literally, I want to go out and break someone's neck.
Dude, that's nasty, bro.
Ridgway's crazy, man, and I love it. Put him in my team all day. That's what I want, especially at that position. It's beautiful.
So, we're going to look at a pick 24 here, Mike, and I know you didn't really want Tyler Linderbaum here, but which player not named Jermaine Johnson or Tyler Linderbaum would you have taken at pick 24?
Yeah, so right off the bat, my pick would have been Jermaine Johnson, period. It would have been an easy decision if he was. That's why we didn't say Jermaine Johnson. Everybody knows he's my edge one. He would have been like maybe the first pick that I would have made. Like, I like him that much. Tyler Linderbaum, I had no interest here in Dallas. So I went through, I tried to, I like Arnold Edebike. I liked him a lot. I feel like that would be a little early, maybe a trade back. I tried to find some others that maybe would be a better position value for us, but the best player on my board was Daxton Hill. Mm-hmm. And so he plays slot corner for you. He plays safety. Wilson hasn't shown to be healthy in his career. Hooker, besides last year, hasn't shown to be healthy in his career. So he's more than likely going to get plenty of snaps in the game. And so I probably would have went Daxton Hill, would have been my pick.
So, before I answer, Mike, Jermaine Johnson, he's sitting in our laps, and he was projected to be like a top 10 pick, or I think even on some boards a top 5 pick. Do you have any insight as to why he slid so far and why Dallas wasn't interested in him?
I think a lot of teams had him lower than when teams looked early in the draft. They said, okay, Thibodeau, Hutchinson, Walker. No. That's your tier 1 pass rush. And then they went through the other positions. They're like, well, if I can't have my top pass rusher, maybe I can have my top offensive line instead. I can have my top receiver. I can have my top safety. So they kind of went, that way. And boy, you've seen the Jets come up and get him. Man, that's my one thing. Damn, they should have got Jermaine Johnson. The next pick is really what makes it worse, because if you needed an edge bad enough to take one at 56, then when Jermaine Johnson drops to you, you just take him, and then you figure out offensive line in the next round. Like, it was an easy decision for me. I would have got Jermaine Johnson, like, with ease would have been my pick.
Dude, when Buffalo passed on him and we were up on the clock at 24, I screamed that Jermaine Johnson was still there. And the fact that we didn't take him, I was shocked. I was deflated. I was stunned.
Yeah, because that is a CeeDee Lamb, a Micah Parsons dropping to you. Like, you're talking about a Randy Gregory replacement year 1. Yes. Jermaine Johnson will get 6 sacks year 1. He will have plenty of pressures. And the thing about him, that the reason he was my edge 1 is because he's better than anyone else stopping the run. There's other ones that are better pass rushers. He's good, but there's other ones that are more ready right now as pass rushers. But he's the best run stopper out of all the top tier guys. He's number 1. He is a elite edge setter. And so you're talking about a guy that's like, okay, you got him and Tank. Good luck running to the outsides. And now you're putting in Ridgway, the Bohanas. When we started to play running teams, we had more of a, okay, get at us now. With this line, Jermaine Johnson, Bohana, Ridgway, and Tank against the Niners. All right, go ahead and try to run with our linebacker crew running around. Good luck, but, now you have Dorrance over there who's okay, and it just, he's just not going to be the type of player that Jermaine Johnson is. So it was a bummer.
Dude, just thinking about a Randy Gregory, but who can stop the run, is so exciting, dude.
Oh man, you're talking 8 to 12 sacks and a run stopping edge. Like,
never has to come off the field, dude.
Yeah. You take him off the field when he's tired. Other than that, you don't ever have to move off of there.
So to go back to the question, Mike, which player would not named Jermaine Johnson or Tyler Linderbaum I would have taken? It's Daxton Hill as well. That's somebody who, when we did our mock draft, that was somebody I didn't take him in that mock draft, but it was either him or Treylon Burks, and yeah, it was easily Daxton Hill for me as well.
Yeah, he was pretty clearly the best player if you take Jermaine Johnson off. Now, Devin Lloyd was there, but I just didn't see the value in linebacker even before we got Damone Clark. Curse, Parsons, Cox.
Yeah,
that's your guys right there. LVE's rotational. So that's why I don't plan on playing Damone Clark at all this year. Because why? Let him get fully healthy. Get in the playbook. Learn the playbook. Learn it mentally. Get it down mentally. And then go and worry about getting the offseason to build back up to play.
All right, Mike, here at pick 56, which player not named Travis Jones and Drake Jackson would you have taken?
I want Jermaine Johnson and Travis Jones, though.
Oh my God. Oh, Lord.
Imagine that D-line. Oh, Jermaine Johnson, whoever the hell you want to put a 3 technique between Gallimore and Osa, rotating.
Oh,
and then
God.
you'd have Travis Jones as your 1 technique and Tank. And Parsons. Oh, God. Can you just imagine? And that's why you don't draft for need, because, in the 6th round or something, Darian Kennard and Jamie Sawyer are coming off the board. Guys who could plug and play start as long as their health medicals are fine. Yeah. Plug and play starters at left guard right away. They got that Walesko guy in the 5th, who's a developmental left tackle to take the place of Tyron in a year or two. It's like, man, they could have had Jermaine Johnson, Travis Jones. What was the question? Who cares? Take Travis Jones. God. So I answered this a couple ways. I put if I was to draft Jermaine Johnson at first, like I wanted to, or like they should have, then I would have went Ed Ingram if I can't have Travis Jones, because he's a plug and play left guard, power guy. He pretty much is a less athletic version of Smith. Power, monster, very strong. Can't move out to left tackle like Smith can, but he would do the type of thing at left guard. If it's Tyler Smith that they drafted, like they wanted, then my pick at 56 probably would have been Jalen Tolbert. I had a high round grade on him. Yeah. I wanted them to take him at 56. It kind of saved day 2 for me, because in my mind, I just flipped the 2 players. I said I'd have loved Williams at 88 and I'd have loved Tolbert at 56. So the fact that they got him and Tolbert fell, great, works for me. I just flipped him. So Tolbert would have been my pick at 56. And looking at it now, hell, I'd have looked stupid. So, it's not like I'd have been perfect.
Yeah, for me, Mike, I'm going with Alabama linebacker Christian Harris. If I couldn't have had Travis Jones or Drake Jackson.
Yeah, good player. Could play small and fast, but physical enough to play middle linebacker. He'd be better than LVE. So, yeah, I would like that pick too. No Troy Anderson, huh?
No, I mean, it's just, I guess when I mentioned him a few weeks ago or close to a month ago, and he kind of convinced me that that's not a guy that, first of all, Dallas would even consider, but also he still, needs some time to develop and everything. So
what happened this draft? They took a kid from Tulsa at 24. Yeah. They took Tolbert's like from South Alabama.
Alabama.
What? Where did this come from? I mean, I'm happy because next year now we can go into drafts going Troy Anderson. Yeah. Why not? They took Tulsa guy at 24. There's no reason to not. So it's exciting to see that change in mentality. 2 of your first 3 picks are small schools, not the big 5, powerhouses. So that's going to be exciting for next year's draft when Camber, who we love, Too Much Camber, tells me Troy Anderson. I go, well, I love Troy Anderson, but Dallas is going to draft him. So why get into it? Now she can go, oh, really? Tulsa at 24. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. So it's exciting for the future.
It's nice to see a change. I mean, we've seen a big change in kind of philosophy and less predictability. Of course, I know that people had Sam Williams pegged from a mile away. We were all shocked by the Tyler Johnson, but we know that they they tend to draft for need, but it's nice to know that they're becoming less and less predictable as time passes.
Tyler Smith, my friend.
Sorry, Tyler Smith, excuse me.
Tyler Johnson, I really like coming out of a couple of years ago. That was one of my boys.
Yeah, where was he? What college was he from? Was it Minnesota? Him and Rashad Bateman, right?
Yeah, I believe that was it. And he went to the Bucks, right?
Yeah.
Got himself a chance, Super Bowl.
Yes, sir, he did. So, Mike, you mentioned you'd be happy. You would have been happy with Tolbert at pick 56. So, at pick 88, are you happy? Obviously, you're happy with Tolbert, but was there somebody else that you would have had your eye on?
Nah. Tolbert was it. Tolbert, for me, his comp was Michael Gallup. And it's funny because he does stuff a few things better than Gallup did coming out. He's a little bit faster. His in breaking, the way he can create separation at the top of a route, especially on like dig ins, not comebacks or slant stuff, but direct in cutting routes. Man, he's good. He averaged almost 18 yards a catch. Like, I know it was Southern Alabama. I get what people are going to say with that, but that translates, man. You can watch the tape, and then you see what he did in the Senior Bowl, and he just ate people up in the Senior Bowl, and that's the best competition. That's the seniors. They're vets. They're from big schools, little schools. And he was eating them up. So I expect that he could be one of those guys that we look back and he's like the guy we remember from this draft. He could be one of those special types, especially when Gallup gets back. Like, you have James Washington who can get deep on you, and I expect him to be Gallup's replacement for the first few weeks. CeeDee Lamb's going to be the target eater. Dalton Schultz going to be a target eater. And I think Jalen Tolbert's just going to come in and hit a couple home runs. Yeah. And people are going to be like, uh-oh, now we know why we got him. So I really, really like Tolbert. Into the first quarter, Mavs down 10, 25-35, but a little bit of a comeback. They were getting whooped on early, so.
I appreciate that. So when you look at Tolbert, though, he's kind of already refined and polished and everything. Do you still see some upside, or is he kind of who he is?
Oh, no, he's got all kinds. That size, that speed, that route running, he has upside because of where he's from. Like, the South Alabama, I'm sure, is a great school. Their coaches are not the coaches and the coaching that he's going to get in a Dallas Cowboys uniform. They're just not. If they were, they would be at regular Alabama and not South Alabama. Yeah. So he's going to get some coaching improvements, and I really expect him to be a really, really good wide receiver in this league. I would have took him at 56.
Right. Yeah, so going back to the question at pick 88, was I happy with Tolbert? Yeah, when you look at our teams, I know that we mentioned last week that wide receiver 2 I felt was a position that was kind of in need of a sneaky upgrade when you look at the depth of our wide receivers. I'm happy with the pick, but if we didn't take Tolbert, I would have been happy with maybe a Dylan Parham, guard out of Memphis.
That's a good player. Really good player. I wouldn't mind that at all. That's a player if you had I'd probably still take Tolbert. Damn, that's tough. Because you need a left guard. If we were to win Jermaine Johnson, Travis Jones in the first two, I think I had Tolbert so high on my board, I would have probably had to go Tolbert. But then you'd have to still have to get a guard later on in the draft. You'd have to find a spot for him.
Did you have Jalen Tolbert as a top 10 wide receiver in this class?
Oh man, I wish I had my rankings. Let me think. Skylar Pickens. Wilson, Burks, Williams. I'm not doing these in order. I'm just naming them off.
Yeah.
And then
Christian Watson,
and then there was one more. I think he was 9th or 10th. Yeah, okay. I think he did squeeze in there because Jahan Dotson. I didn't have him as high as Washington got him, but I had him and Tolbert. I think were my 9-10. Right in there. I really had Tolbert high. Like I think Tolbert could end up being a better receiver than Jahan Dotson. I really do.
Wow. To think we got him in the 3rd round. That's nice.
I couldn't believe he was falling. I was mad. Like, man, you got this guy, say what you want. I don't talk about the off-field stuff, but he did have off-field concerns. So that was going to drop him. He wasn't a really bendy edge rusher. He was athletic, but not real bend the corner type. He doesn't play good against the run, so he's more of a, in his first year, he has the size to be a fine edge setter, but he doesn't know how to do it yet. So he's kind of a third down pass rush guy. And my thing is on third down, like, okay, you have Tank's going to move inside. You have Parsons can rush on the one edge. And then, you're going to take out Fowler and Dorrance Armstrong to play Sam Williams, rookie. Like, how often is that going to happen? So I really would have rather had Tolbert there. The Sam Williams pick didn't make sense for me at 56, but I'm not mad about it now. I just pretend like he got picked at 88, to be honest with you.
I hear you. When you look at our fourth round pick, Mr. Ferguson here, and you look at this tight end class overall, does it make you feel better about tagging Dalton Schultz?
Yeah, and I was an anti-tag Schultz guy because I didn't like $11 million on the cap. What I forgot is that Dallas doesn't use the cap room anyway. So why take away? You need tight ends normally. You need a year or two to develop. So you let Ferguson develop under Dalton Schultz for a year. At the end of the year, you get the $11 million off the cap. You get a comp pick when he goes somewhere else because he's going to put up another 70 catches, 800 yards, 7 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. He is, because the offense just dictates that Dalton Schultz is going to get one-on-one coverage. It's just how it is. That's why I like Ferguson. I mean, if Dalton Schultz, knock on wood, because we did not want this to happen, but if Dalton Schultz had to fall to an injury, I believe Ferguson would be somewhere in the 50 catch, 600-700 yards, 4 or 5 touchdowns as a rookie, because that's just how teams have to play us. Like they're playing that shell, they're playing back, trying to keep the deep ball away from Lamb and Gallup and now Tolbert and James Washington. So the underneath play to Ferguson or Schultz is going to be a really easy pitch and catch for Dak. So at first I was mad, but now you get the production from Schultz this year. Ferguson gets to learn, and you move on and get a comp pick and $11 million off the books for next season, which seems to be what they're playing for anyway. So,
yeah, and adding to that, Mike, I feel more and more that maybe when you look at the chemistry between him and Dak, that maybe Dak had some say and wanted to keep Schultz around at least for one more year.
Oh yeah, that was Dak's guy. I think the team was going to go Jarwin. Jarwin got injured, and you only want to have so many holes going in the draft. They had way too many already, which goes by how they drafted. Mm-hmm. And so they just said, we'll tag Schultz. We're not going to use any money in free agency anyway, so just put $11 million on the cap, and they can blame that and the quarterback for why they didn't sign anybody.
Oh God, let's not get started with that. Let's enjoy the draft at least.
Yeah, I know. God, punch me in the face.
Looking at day 3, Mike, it was a pretty successful day. Did day 3 improve our draft as a whole?
Easily. It was critical to improving the draft. Clark, a great risk pick, your future tackle machine linebacker to pair with Cox and Curse and Parsons. Like, they legit have four linebacker rotations, just crazy. They got Schultz replacement, so they can get that cap off the books and they can get a comp pick there. They have 2 athletic freak special teams guys, a linebacker and a corner that can give you depth, play in an emergency because they're athletic enough to run around and make plays, but they're going to be special teams guys. People didn't know who Darian Bland is. I'm from Fresno, so I knew who he was coming out of Fresno State. Special teams captain. He will be a baller on special teams. I promise you that. And then, of course, you got Ridgeway to go with Bohanna, and we all know. Do we even – if you've ever watched the show, you know how much I love that pick. So, yeah, it's such a good change. The last 2 years, they had never, ever drafted a one technique under Will McClay. Back-to-back years, 6th round and now 5th round. Or it was 7th round, I think, and now 5th round. So it's moving up even higher and higher on the priority list.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I have to agree with you, Mike. Getting Damone Clark, that was somebody who I was hoping for when we did our mock last week. And, of course, I know the nose tackle, that's been a big thing for you. So they really hit it with day 3. And you mentioned that offensive tackle as well, who sounds like he's got a whole lot of upside. And you think about somebody you get in the 5th round who could potentially replace Tyron, you can't ask for better value.
if we have good developmental coaches and the kid can learn, he has all kinds of size, length, athleticism. Like he's built in a factory to be a 10 to 12 year stud offensive lineman, left tackle. So we'll see what the coaches can do with him.
I'm going to go off the show sheet here, but you look at the addition of Tyler Smith and the day 3 pick, the offensive tackle there. Do you think those are guys that they're hoping that they can develop to where they might not have to sign Steele to a big contract?
Yeah, that's my guess is that they would like Velasco and Smith to be the future tackles. Even better, they'd like it if Velasco and Ball were the future tackles and Smith could stay at left guard. They'd love that to death. But like I said, it's a developmental draft. So, you got to see how this offensive line has seemed to regress under Philman, except for Steele. So we'll see. Everybody thought he was going to get fired for sure, and he's still around. So we'll see what happens. I think Luka got a groin shot, but he's getting back.
It would be nice to maybe franchise tag Steele, not sign him to a big deal, and then you had 2 exciting young tackles on cheap deals while we're paying Dak that big money.
I think Steele's going to be restricted, so you're going to be able to get him cheap at least another year, and let these 2 develop a little bit. So maybe by the end of 2023, that's when you start to see those guys come in.
Yes, sir. Mike, I have a feeling I know the answer to this question, but was the Ridgeway pick your favorite pick?
You do not, because I'm going to surprise people. Tolbert on value, obviously, is my favorite pick. But my favorite pick is Tyler Smith. And it's not, the thing is I didn't like the value. The value's bad. And when I grade a draft, I say, okay, but because you don't know, the number 1 overall pick could be a total flop, and the last the draft could be Tom Brady. You don't know. There's no way to know that. So the way that I grade a draft is by value. And since I had, the pick for Tyler Smith was like 30 picks ahead of where I had him, placed in my value. And I kind of do mine, Dane Brugler's, there's 2 other people. And I mix them up, and then I make a list out of that. And then kind of where you fit in there is how I grade you. So the Tyler Smith pick is bad value-wise. I love the kid, though. Like, as far as a prospect, great length, great attitude. You have to hear him talk a little bit, like get into his interviews. He was on Good Morning Football. He's just really smart kid. And I think by the end of 2023, nobody's going to care where we drafted him because he's going to be a good player. The thing that might bug him is if Jermaine Johnson's if Jermaine Johnson's what, then no matter what, we're going to be like, yeah, this kid's good, but we could have had friggin' Jermaine Johnson, But other than that, if like Jermaine Johnson's just an all-world Von Miller crazy player, it may affect it. But otherwise, I think by the end of the year 2023, people aren't going to care where we got Tyler Smith because he's going to be 23 years old. He's going to be a monster. He's going to be a guy that people are going to be like, just move him to left tackle if there's a problem. No, leave him at guard. He's killing there. Like he's so smart and he understands how to improve himself through. You can hear through his interviews that he understands how to get better. So I really like him. He was my favorite draft pick. Like I like him, even though the value wasn't there. I just like that player.
And you talk about the adversity he's had to go through with his legs and everything, with the braces and having to get his legs broken and put back together and everything. It's just his story is easy to root for.
Yeah, and you understand, listening to him and talking to him, you understand why teams like Dallas and Tennessee, and I heard the Bucks really liked him, and I heard New England really liked him, and you can understand why those teams would like him. Just still not a great value. It just is what it is. Like you have to separate the fact that they didn't get a great value for the pick. Jermaine Johnson was there, should have been the pick, but you're going to get a really good left guard and a possible really good left tackle replacement for Tyron Smith if somebody else can't do it. So I really like that kid, and people are going to go. It's funny because people are going to be like, oh, yeah, you crapped on the pick. Look how good he is. And I'm like, no, if you really listen to what I said and what I tweeted, I love Tyler Smith.
Yeah.
I'm still going to grade it on value, and he's got a lot of work to do. He's a developmental guy. He may not be very good next year. So just be prepared for it, and we'll see what happens.
A lot of people in the Cowboys community, people who, I trust as far as scouting wise goes, they said that they had a third round grade on Tyler Smith. Is that where you had him as well?
Yeah, me too. Into the second, early third. Yeah.
But is that because of how many penalties, technique?
He's the idea is they can play him at guard because it takes away some of the technique issues, and he could just use his raw length and power and athleticism, and that makes sense. But it also, you have to be pretty fundamentally sound to play guard because things happen a lot faster at guard. So I expect him to struggle a little bit. I expect the expectation to be so low on him that what's going to happen is people are going to jump out and go, look at how great he's doing. And analytically, the more people like me and Massey and Dan, J.A. Massey and Dan Rupert are going to go, well, not really, guys. We're not going to be hating on the guy. We're going to go calm down, analytically and he's not blocking as well as you think. It just may, he had low expectations, so you think things are going better than they are, but he still needs to develop. And then as the year goes on and he starts to make mistakes, people are going to be like, what a bust. And me, Dan, and Jay are going to be going no, he's getting better. It's all right. Trust. And by the end of 2023, I think everybody's going to love him and be happy and not care where we picked him, except for people that get kind of like the Dak thing. They hated Dak. They didn't like that Romo. And so no matter what, they hate Dak. Other than people are just like, I hate this pick, so I'm going to hate it no matter what. Tyler Smith's easy to like, and he's going to be a really good player. It just may take more time than it should at the 24th pick.
Mike, you said the word developmental a lot. Is that your theme for this draft?
Yeah. I think that is theme of the draft I put down fix last year's problems. So the main thing from last year is you have to break teams. It's funny because I laugh at Dan because he goes, we're going to get back. All these picks are because they just want to get back to running the ball. And I told him, I go, no, they want to get back to letting teams know that they can run the ball. They don't want to run the ball 30 times. What they don't want is to face that shell, a four-man rush and a six-man box, and they can't do anything about it. So, yes, technically they loaded up on players that help run the ball and stop the run. That's kind of what they did. But they're not doing it because they want to run the ball 30 times. That's not why. They were killing people early because you couldn't stop either the run or the pass. So finally teams said, no, go ahead and run. We're not going to let Dak. Basically, they said we're not going to let Dak Prescott beat us. We're not going to blitz because he kills our blitz. So we're going to cut that out. Minus 2 games, teams hardly blitzed. I know Arizona did, and there was one other team that blitzed a lot, and they weren't successful. Arizona actually was. They had a really good game plan. But overall, Dak killed the blitz through the first 6 games, and teams said we're not going to do it anymore. We're just going to play back, make him throw into zones, and then we think that their offensive line can't hold up on 4-man rushes, and they can't push around our 6-man box. And they were right. And so what Dallas is honestly doing is saying, if you want to run 6-man boxes, then yes, we're going to become the Dan Rupert's nightmare. We'll run it 35 times. We'll do what we did to San Diego, and we'll gut you, and we'll beat you that way. Until you say, you know what, we can't take this. We got to get out of this shell. We got to stop the run. Last year, they couldn't do that. They couldn't get teams to adjust out of the shell because they couldn't beat teams running the ball versus 6-man boxes. They couldn't block 4-man rushes. And so that is the idea of this draft is better run efficiency. They got a middle linebacker of the future. Like I said, this isn't exactly for next year. They got Ridgeway, who needs a year to build in, but him and Bohana will be there. So they got that to help affect the run. And then on the other side of the ball, they're just trying to get teams out of that shell. Because if you can't play that shell against Dak and Mahomes, they'll rip you apart. It's the shell that gives them trouble because their offensive line isn't holding up blocking versus the run or against four-man rushes. So this draft was about fixing those key issues for the future. It may not work in 2022 as well as we want, but in 2023 going forward, that shouldn't be as much of an issue.
Initially, Mike, what I thought the theme of this draft was physicality, but I'm kind of, after this discussion, I feel like it's upside was the theme of this draft.
Yeah, upside. That is very good. They have a lot of guys that have high ceilings. Mm-hmm. Even the guys like Bland and Harper absolutely could develop. They're fast, big, strong, lengthy. They're athletes. If you get them if you have coaches that put them in the right spot and develop them correctly, they both could be starting defensive players. Absolutely. There's tons of upside in this draft.
Absolutely. So, okay, Mike, now that the draft has come and gone, is Dallas still the best team in the NFC East?
Yeah, they got the only true quarterback. I know Jalen Hurts can win with the team around him, but you just see what Dak does to the division opponents. He kills them, and the reason is because he's the only real Pro Bowl, all pro caliber. The first 6 weeks of the year we were calling him an MVP. He's the only one in the division that could do that could be that good. Now, a lot of them could be as good as he was in the second half. Solid, above average, could win in a certain style, but Dak can carry a team to a win. I don't see the other quarterbacks doing that, and I think Dak will just kill the division again. And it's hard to win if one team is getting 5-6 wins in the division. It's hard for you guys to beat outside the division teams at such a separate level. All of them are going to go, 5-3 or 3-5 or 4-4. So it's what you do in the division. If you have Dak going 5-1, it's just hard to beat them. So I don't think they're the best roster, but because their quarterback's so much better, I'm picking Dallas to win. They just won't be a real threat unless the team develops real well. They won't be a real threat when they get into the playoffs.
Yeah, on paper for me, Mike, it's going to be the Eagles, but you make a pretty compelling case. I know I'm a much bigger fan of Hurts than you are. I do have a feeling, though, with the addition of A.J. Brown, I think that we're going to see a Dak-esque type of leap for Jalen Hurts this year.
If he does, they win the division because their roster is much, much better than Dallas's. The only difference is because the only reason they won last year is because Dak was Dak and Jalen Hurts was solid. He got him to the playoffs, but he's just not. He can't do what Dak did in the first 6 games of the year. He doesn't have that type of game. He isn't that type of thrower.
Do you think A.J. Brown's better than CeeDee Lamb?
No, probably not. Because just like A.J. Brown had Tannehill, who is decent, good play action, but he's not Dak. And this year he's going to have Jalen Hurts, and CeeDee Lamb's going to have Dak. So CeeDee Lamb put up better numbers last year than he did, and he was mixed in, and it was that weird shell defense. I think AJ Brown only had 700-800 yards, maybe.
Yeah, but he missed 6 games last year.
Yeah, injured, of course. But I mean, Lamb missed a few too, and he had over 1,000. Neutral. I think AJ Brown's better, a neutral field, but because Dallas has Dak Prescott, I think Lamb will have a better year than A.J. Brown.
Fair enough. Heading into the 2022 season, Mike, what is the Cowboys' mantra for this upcoming season?
I think it's going to be to try to develop into a winning team by the playoffs. That's going to be Mike McCarthy's. Mike McCarthy's going to go, okay, we should win the division with the quarterback difference with having Dak. So win enough games, develop, and hope that your offensive line is playing to a higher level than when it first starts, that your defensive line is developed and your defense as a whole is turned into a speed monster that just suffocates defenses, and then Dak Prescott can carry you, and maybe you go on a run.
Yeah, I think it's going to be no excuses, Mike. I know that we've lost some key players, but you look at our defense and the core that they have, it's still there, and they added Sam Williams. Say what you want, but he's a high upside player. And then you look at the offensive line. I know that Tyron's getting older, Zach Martin's getting older, and there's questions at left guard, but we still have again Zach Martin, Tyron Smith, and Biadish. So you look at 2020 season, we overcame adversity with Dak being injured. Then we made too many excuses last year in regards to the referees and Kellen Moore and everything. So I just feel like this year it's going to be a no excuses mantra for the Cowboys.
Yeah, man, they have some excuses though. That O-line, they got to develop that O-line, man. That worries me, and I don't like LVE in the middle with our defensive tackles. Bohanna hopefully takes a little bit of a jump, but Ridgeway's going to need a year. You can't just expect a kid come out of high school and dominate NFL level players, offensive guards and centers as a rookie for 17 games and in the playoffs. So I think if they were in a better division, they would struggle this year.
Okay. I say, here we are with Paul and Mike's view from the front row. And Mike, we were going to discuss the first episode of Ozark.
Yeah, how was Ozark, Paul? Break it down for us. How was Ozark?
Mike, I got way too busy today. I didn't get a chance to watch it. So for somebody who watched the entire season already, I'm hoping you can share your thoughts on episode 1 with us.
I'm not going to give anything away, but it's a really great start. Ruth is incredible. I love the whole season. I think it'll be controversial, but I thought it was excellent. I thought it fit how the show should end, and I just really enjoyed it. I don't want to go too into it because I don't want to give spoilers. It was just out Friday, so yeah. Ruth is incredible. Bateman's incredible. The show kind of plays off them mostly and the wife more than the kids being up front like they have in the last few. So yeah, it was a good finish. I enjoyed it.
I think Ruth might be my favorite character.
Ruth is spectacular. She's mind-blowingly brilliant, and she mind-blowingly looks like Justin Timberlake from NSYNC. Look up that meme. Look up I'm going to tell my kids this was Ruth from Ozark, and it's Justin Timberlake when he was younger. Hilarious.
Definitely going to have to look that up. I haven't seen that. That's hilarious. So, Mike, this week we're going to be talking about top 5. And last week we talked about our top 5 Marvel movies, and this week we're talking about our top 5 favorite rappers. I'm curious to hear your list because you said this was all I'm trying to think of the word you used, that this is all subject to I forgot what you said when I suggested, because I asked you, I said, do you listen to rap music? And you said that is what was it you said?
Yeah, I listen to rap music. It's surprising that you didn't. That's probably the number one type of music I listen to. So I guess I just don't look like a rap music person. But my list will lean heavily towards West Coast rap and 90s, rap, because that's where I came up. I'm more of an old school, like I like Sam Cooke and the Four Seasons and Frankie Valli. Like I like my dad's oldies. I like music that's like I'm more of an emotional person. Like I really like birthdays and Valentine's days, so you can give like a thoughtful gift, and like even if you don't have a lot of money, you can put thought into stuff. And I like my music better when it's like I feel like the person that made the song was legitimately telling this person that he's in love with, like, I'm going to break this song down for you, the girl I'm in love with. And I love that type of music more than, not that they're bad. Like I like the songs nowadays, but it's more like I could screw every bitch in the world because I have all the money and that's all women want is my money. And I'm going to screw everyone. Like, I like the beats and stuff like that, but it's just not my style. I'm more like, it's like Kings of Comedy with Steve Harvey, where he talks about how he was in love. He was crying through the whole damn song, and he loved this woman. Like
Yeah.
I love that. Like the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack is just everything to me. It just has so many songs I like. So my dogs agree. You hear them barking. They agree with me. So yeah, but I 90s rap, West Coast rap is my thing. So you could probably line up my list of guys from that.
Well, that's interesting because I know that you liked rap, but I remember when this was a while ago. We did top 5, and we did our top 5. I think it was favorite musicians, and you didn't have a single rapper on there.
No, this musicians they're different. It's different than rap. It's different. Musicians is like I said, is like Michael Jackson was my number one. Like not even close. Just his shit meant something. When you listen to Man in the Mirror, you're like, you want to change who you are. Like it's that kind of emotion. Right. And rap's a little different. Rap, Ice Cube's a poet. There's poets out there, but it's different than musician.
All right, Mike, start us off. Who's number 5 on your list?
Snoop D-O double G. Gotta start West Coast rap. 90s, Dr. Dre. A lot of these guys, you'll know, like I could have easily just put producers I love, even though they're not as good of rappers. Mm-hmm. Timberland and Dr. Dre are two of my favorites because I don't care how good their lyrics are because they're such incredible producers that I just listen to their songs. Like half my rap songs, I feel like are Dr. Dre and Timberland produced. Like they're just so good at making a good beat. So Snoop, of course, is in there. I like earlier Snoop more than later Snoop. I like Dr. Dre, Snoop. So Snoop's my 5.
I don't know if this is the top 5 first, Mike, but number 5 on my list is Snoop Dogg, who I could have easily had at number 1 because he's probably my all-time favorite rapper. However, I don't like much of his newer stuff. I don't listen to him very often these days. So that's why he's here at number 5 for me.
Exactly why he wasn't higher on mine too. I got him in at 5, but it was for his earlier work.
Yeah. All right. So Mike, number 4 on my list, I'm going with Mr. J. Cole. Are you a fan of J. Cole?
I know the name, but I would have to hear a song. Is he newer?
I mean, he's been around for probably 10 years. And if you talk about poetry, poetic, meaningful, you would like his music too.
I'm pretty sure if I heard it, I would go, oh, I like that song. I just don't know the name off the top of my head. I don't listen to everything new. Like, like I listen to some Drake. I like, what's the one guy? The guy with one eye, Fetty Wap. I like him. He has some cool beats. Yeah. But I'm not as into the newer rap as I was, Cash Money, NWA.
Oh man, yeah.
That like I'll take Lil Wayne from Cash Money Records when he was with Manny Fresh.
Oh God, dude. Yeah,
that's my guy from back then. More than the one that's with Drake and stuff now, who's still great, But I mean, people forget that early work where he was like 17, and just him and Manny Fresh would just kill. It was awesome.
Yeah, definitely check out J. Cole when you have time. If you're just chilling in your room, looking for some writing motivation or something, looking for some background music, I think you'll really like J. Cole's body of work.
Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up texting you going like, oh, he does that. Oh, yeah, I like him, to be one of those.
Yeah.
But, right now off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you one song.
Oh, Lord. All right, Mike, who's number 4 on your list?
Tupac. Again,
hey, of course.
West Coast rapper.
Kind of low. I'm surprised.
Well, the other 3. Number 3 is kind of on respect. 3, 4, 5 could have went anywhere. My top 2 are my top 2. Right, 3, 4, 5 could have went anywhere, but you'll understand why I put 3 at 3 when you hear the name. But I mean, is anybody going to really argue wherever you put Tupac? Like a lot of people have him 1, like first. This isn't like our favorite. This is my favorite. This isn't like where I'd rank them. But this is my personal favorites, and so I love Tupac. I mean, that album where Dr. Dre was a producer, All Eyes on Me, it's maybe easily a top 5 rap album of all time. Just incredible.
Yes, sir. All right, Mike, who do you have on number 3?
Number 3 is DMX.
Oh, I like that, dude. Yeah.
He could have went 3, 4, or 5, but the man passed away. So I've been listening to him a lot. because it's just how it is. He passed away. He put his music on, and he's like the one, like, no offense to Snoop Dogg or even Tupac. Like, if I saw them on the street, I would walk by and be like, hey, how you guys doing? DMX, bruh, like, I'm not going into a dark alley with he looks like he would straight rob your ass. Like, he was legit. When he rapped, you were like, yeah, that dude did that. Like, you weren't like, oh, this guy's come up with a good style, but he ain't all into. No, everything DMX did in the song, I would not be shocked if he did in real life. He
Yeah.
just a beast, man. How do you not love him? The Rough Riders anthem, X gonna give it to you.
Yeah.
Damien, how's it going down? Like, he's incredible. So yeah, I had to put him up there.
Belly's one of my all-time like favorite gangster movies as well.
That's a good one. Yep, Belly. Dang, who'd have thought? Nas did not make my list, but another good one. Love Nas.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Number 3 on my list, Mike. Eminem.
Oh yeah, duh. Yeah, that one's easy. Will destroy you in any rap battle. Makes more money than anybody else. Sells out the most tours. Like, he's easily a case for him to be the greatest rapper of all time. He happens to be white. Sorry, people, it's just what it is. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. And he had Dr. Dre doing his beats for him. The Kamikaze is my favorite rap album of all time. He annihilates everyone, and every song is just. I think there's one song I skip on the whole thing. Like, I love that album. His bounce back from his more like political one where he was trying to, and it kind of split people. I love that album too. But to come back with Kamikaze and go, no, y'all, this ain't happening like this. It was
like a rebirth.
Oh man, unbelievable.
Growing up in that 90s era where it was like 90s rapper talking about drugs and killing and women and everything, and then you kind of get a fresh perspective on Eminem, who's talking about some weird stuff, don't get me wrong, like some pretty like psychotic things, but it was almost refreshing. Like, it felt more relatable, which it shouldn't have, but for some reason it did.
Bro, I listened to some of his songs, like and I hear things and I'm like, whoa, that's great, because it was so advanced that when I was back then, I didn't even understand. I just thought he was funny, but he has stuff that's just like, you can watch this dude does reaction videos to stuff where he'll stop and explain to you what he meant when he said the thing, and I'm like, damn, that's crazy. That the fact that he could put it together and then put it in a rap, he's unbelievable. And then it's like, he just turned into like he was just a regular like rap, but and then he does Godzilla and Rap God and does this thing where and you're like, where the did that come from?
Yep.
He's his adaptation, and he's unbelievable. He will be most people's GOAT, for a very long time here. He just will be. He's that great.
I remember when Kamikaze came out, and I just remember feeling like, man, he finally bounced back and came back. Like, this is the Eminem I grew up listening to, like, fell in love with. That, like, this is like the sound that made him one of my favorite rappers.
Yeah, instead of kind of like trying to do something new or see if he could bring something out, he was just like, oh, okay, you guys want me to go back to cool. All right, I'll show you what's up. And he just brought out that one album. The next two, which I love.
Yeah,
we're back to hey, we're gonna try some different things. We're gonna do this and that. But that album was basically going, don't forget that I could be Slim Shady. Like, don't forget
exactly
who you're dealing with. Put me back on your top of your rappers list.
Sir.
I listened to that album till 2:30 in the morning because it dropped at midnight, and I just couldn't fall. It was just song after song after. It was unbelievable, dude. That was awesome.
Yes, sir. All right, Mike, number 2 on my list. You mentioned him earlier. I'm going with Drake.
Oh, you got Drake up there. I like Drake. I don't know as much of his stuff as I should because of how big he is right now. But he did some songs with Timberland that I really like. I've heard enough to where I can go, yeah, Drake definitely belongs in the top 5. I have no issue with that. But I had kind of gotten away from new rap.
Yeah.
Right as Drake was coming in. Like I hadn't listened to Kendrick Lamar until like he was after his second album had been out with Dr. Dre for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just didn't get into the new rap. So I've just as started getting into the Drakes and the Kendrick Lamars and those types that are the new big names out.
Dude, that first Kendrick Lamar album is a classic, bro.
Yeah, it was Dr. Dre, dude. You put Dr. Dre on the album, dude. His album with Exhibit is unbelievable. Like Exhibit's crazy, and then Exhibit left Dre, and it was like you never heard from him again. Like that producer means that much.
I remember when I first discovered Kendrick Lamar, I was like at the grocery store and I saw I don't know if it was a Source magazine or if it was like a Vibe magazine, but I picked it up and he was on the cover just talking about Dr. Dre's secret weapon or like his new protege or something. And I read the article about him. I was like, okay, I can't wait to hear his music. And holy cow, dude.
Yeah, it was really crazy. You can't come. Kendrick Lamar could have made a list here.
Yeah, he could have. So, going back to the list, who's number 2 on yours?
2 is Ice Cube. I love Ice Cube. I think he's the best poet. Nas is close, but like he wrote almost everything for NWA. Like MC Ren did some of his stuff, but like Eazy's, Dr. Dre's, most of their songs were all written by Ice Cube.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
They allude to it in Straight Outta Compton too. They talk about that as well. And he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. I love his music. I love his style. I love the beats that he comes up with. He's Mitchell's favorite rapper. He's awesome. I want to say he's my favorite, but number 1 is my favorite. But Cube is like it's like 1, and then Cube is like there. So right under. So I love Ice Cube. He's the top 2 were easy for me. It was 3, 4, and 5's order that made it difficult.
As far as classic movies, where does Friday rank on your list?
Oh, it's legend. It's
legendary, dude.
The thing that made it great is white people loved it.
Yeah, like everybody loves it, dude.
Yeah, it was made for black. It was a black people movie. They know it. The being up on the porch and the ice cream man coming by and the guy that tries to steal it. It was really made because he wrote it. He wrote the movie. Again, a testament to his writing, not just in music, but in movies. But, man, it just hit so well everywhere. Like, it was an all-time classic.
Absolutely. All right, Mike, here we are at number 1. Who's number 1 on your list?
It's Eminem.
Hey, okay.
I mean, I love his – I even like the albums that were kind of knocked. I liked his. The way I have to listen to some songs that there's some songs where I don't really like the beats, so I normally won't listen to them. I'm like a beats guy. But with Eminem, I listen to it once or twice just to see if he has a line in there that's just like, Jesus Christ, how the hell did he even come up with that? Like, he blows my mind with what he puts together more than like you could combine the next 10 rappers. And it's like, okay, yeah, that was cool. That was a good line. Like they did good, but M just has stuff that's nobody touches him with his lyrics. Nobody touches his wordplay. Exactly. Yeah. His word, and he fits it. Like he doesn't have to. I remember Juvenile. I love Juvenile. So this is not. But I'd always listen to him, and he'd always have the at the end or something to make it rhyme, And the way Eminem does it, where he doesn't have to like change the sound of the word too often or anything, and he makes it fill in, and he just talks about shit that's like, how did that come into your head? Like there's levels, and his wordplay is perfect. His wordplay is untouchable. So then you add that to a Dr. Dre beat, and what do you it's so M's my number 1, and I know I'm white, whatever. I picked all other African-American rappers, all right? Because there's only one good. What am I going to put NF in there? Come on, I'm not doing that.
When you were just talking about Juvenile, it made me think of like the Cash Money Rise, the Hot Boys, and then BG, and then, just Lil Wayne. And
that's my Lil Wayne is from that. Yeah. Lawson Season.
Oh, Lord, dude.
A Hot Girl.
What you want, boy?
Yes. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Manny Fresh is that next. It goes Dr. Dre and Timberland for me, and then Manny Fresh is my next favorite producer.
Yeah.
He just, man, and he's underappreciated because they were known so much down south. But if they had came out a few years later, I think they'd have been even. Look what happened to Lil Wayne, because he started with when they broke off and Lil Wayne went on his own. Manny Fresh was his DJ, and their songs were incredible. And I'm not as much into Lil Wayne's newer stuff. It's still good, but not like it was before. But I mean, he's got to be up like. He could easily be top in the list. Like, he's that good for that long. How do you argue with it? You can't.
Yeah, I know. When you think about Louisiana, they had Master P and No Limit Records, and then to go from that to Cash Money, and then of course you had Houston rap here in Texas. Man, the South had quite a historic run of rap, dude.
Mystical.
Oh Lord, bro!
It's so grimy. I love Mystical. Just awesome.
So, I'm curious though, Mike. Before I get to number one on my list, where does Kanye rank for you as far as rappers go?
He's not that high for me. He has a lot of hits, but he has a lot of misses.
Okay.
I like a lot of his songs. I won't lie, but like I've never been one to like put on an album of his and like every song.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, it's not. I like Heartless. I like I can name on my hands the songs I like of Kanye. It's like a handful of them,
Oh, wow.
It's not over the top for me. He's a little eccentric. It goes a little weird for me. I like when he does beats for other people. Like I try to get The Game on here, but The Game's kind of one style. Like he's kind of slower, like grimier. He can't do a multitude of things, so I didn't get him on there. But like when Kanye did a beat for The Game, his songs were even better than when Dr. Dre did a beat for The Game. That Dr. Dre's my number one. So yeah, that Dreams and My Life were both songs produced by Kanye that were on Dr. Dre albums that The Game put out, and I have them on my iTunes to this day. They're fantastic.
Well, Mike, number one on my list, so we talked about this guy quite a bit tonight. It's Lil Wayne.
Oh yeah, see, that like I said, it fits. He was great for such a long time.
Yeah,
he fit. He easily could be number one. I'm actually shocked he didn't make my top 5. It's kind of shocking.
I mean, to go from the Hot Boys, and then he had the Carter series, and then of course all the mixtape he put out, like in the mid 2000s, dude. He was on a crazy run of like being the best rapper in the game.
Yeah, when he went and him and Manny Fresh did the Carter, and then into his stuff with Drake. Pretty special, man. I don't know how somebody can complain if somebody had Lil Wayne won.
Yeah, for real. So, Mike, sorry to go off topic here, but we had somebody in the comments here talking about the NFL draft. Shout out to James Davis, first time viewer, first time listener, I have to assume. But he said the NFL really let Chiefs get Justin Ross and his medical clear. Shake my head. What are your thoughts on that?
They got Sky Moore. Sky, you want to talk about fantasy? Give me Sky Moore. Just sign me up right now. Justin Ross scares me, man. He's one hit away from being paralyzed. I mean, I guess anybody is, but that's why he got undrafted. It had nothing to do with talent. Kid's hella talented, but he just has a type of injury that if he's hit wrong, it's over, and that's terrifying. I wish him all well, but man, I hope he just has a injury-free career.
That Chiefs receiving core is kind of weird because they have Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and then they also have McCole Hardman, but then they've got Juju, Sky Moore, and Justin Ross, who seem like all kind of do the same thing.
Sky Moore is going to be their best receiver.
Yeah, there's no question about that.
He's going to be awesome because the other guy's going to be so fast. Travis Kelce in the middle. Sky Moore is just going to be able to run around and do shit.
Yes, sir. Well, Mike, as always, I enjoyed the discussion tonight. Before we get you out of here, remind the people where they can find you on Twitter.
Look at this right here. Where is it? Right there it is. Oh, right there. Yep. At CD Piglet. Nice and easy. Letter C. It's this way. Letter D. Piglet. See it? There you go.
Guys, I'm Paul Ryan. You can find me on Twitter at Paul_Ryan15. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.
I was so